You wake up and you are already exhausted. The body gets up, but the mind drags chains. The day has not even started, and everything in you already weighs. You look around, and everything seems normal. Work is waiting. Your phone vibrates with demands disguised as opportunities, and the world keeps telling you, come on, you can do it. But here is a truth that perhaps no one has told you. You are not just tired, you are sick. And the illness is not just in you, it is in the entire society. In the next few minutes, the brilliant and brutally honest philosopher Byung-Chul Han will reveal why you have become your own oppressor. You will understand how the modern cult of positivity has turned into a poison, and you will discover the radical, counterintuitive act of rebellion that can finally set you free. The power of doing nothing. This is not a video about productivity hacks. It is a video about dismantling the invisible prison you have built around yourself. And it starts by recognizing that your burnout is not a personal failure. It is a political act of resistance. Part 1. The invisible prison of performance. For a long time, power used shouts. There were prisons, barracks, factories. There were clear orders: sit down, be quiet, obey. Foucault called this a disciplinary society. The logic was simple. Someone commanded, you obeyed. There was a you can't watching you, shaping you. But this world of visible prohibitions is disappearing. What has taken its place is something much more sophisticated and much more cruel. Today, almost no one prohibits you from anything. On the contrary, they tell you that you can do anything, that you are free, that you have unlimited potential. And this message seems positive, motivating, but it carries a hidden trap. When everything depends only on you, any failure is also your fault. This is the essence of the performance society. The prison has no walls, but it has goals. The punishment is not physical, it is psychological, and the one who demands from you is yourself. You have become an entrepreneur of yourself, and an entrepreneur can never stop. They can always improve, always grow, always do more. This puts you in an infinite race with no finish line, no rest, no truce. Have you noticed how even leisure has become a goal? Reading has to be productive. Meditation needs to be a performance technique. Exercise has become a mandatory task. Even sleep has turned into a battlefield. You monitor its quality, calculate the hours, optimize your routine. Resting is no longer resting. It is preparing to perform better tomorrow. You do not live, you manage yourself. And when you fail, when you cannot cope, when you get sick, you blame yourself. Because after all, no one prohibited you from anything, right? You had freedom, you had choice, you just had to make an effort. But that is where the perversity lies. The new form of oppression is making you believe that you are oppressing yourself willingly. Control has changed form. It has left the figure of the boss and entered your head. You have become the guard of your own prison. The wall is now invisible, but it is there, built with expectations, metrics, productivity, and self-demand. And this wall is even harder to break because you no longer know where the system ends and where you begin. But if all of this is crushing you from within, it is because there is something deeply wrong with this model, because it is not natural to live in a war with yourself. And this silent war is leaving marks on your mind, on your body, on your soul. You feel it as a constant low-grade anxiety, a sense of urgency with no clear source, a feeling of being perpetually behind, even when you are ahead. This is not a personal failing. It is the logical conclusion of a system that has turned the human spirit into a resource to be optimized, managed, and exhausted. Part 2. The violence of positivity. You have learned to smile while falling apart inside, to say that everything is fine when you are on the brink of collapse. to maintain an image of control, efficiency, and enthusiasm, even when everything in you screams for a pause. And do you know why? Because we live immersed in a new kind of violence. A violence that does not hit, does not shout, does not impose. It seduces, it invites, it motivates. It is the violence of positivity. Byung-Chul Han warns us that the 21st century is no longer dominated by diseases caused by repression. What makes us sick today is not the "you can't," it is the "yes, you can." What corrodes from within is not classic oppression, but the excess of stimulation, the excess of apparent freedom, the excess of positive demand. The order now is to smile, to produce, to optimize, to be happy, always. But this excess comes at a high cost. Depression, ADHD, anxiety, and burnout are no longer individual pathological deviations. They are social symptoms. They are the psychic responses of a body and mind that can no longer bear the weight of continuous performance. And the most perverse thing is that in this new scenario, you stop being a victim to feel guilty, couldn't be productive today. Laziness, feeling unmotivated, lack of focus, on the brink of collapse, lack of gratitude, lack of yoga, lack of a new course. The blame is always yours. This is how positivity makes you sick, because it does not accept limits. It does not accept failure. It does not accept sadness, pause, or slowness. And the more you try to align with this artificial ideal of happy productivity, the further you drift away from yourself. You become a motivational caricature while everything inside is collapsing. Positivity has become an imperative. You are bombarded with phrases like believe in yourself, just want it, be your best self. It seems harmless, even inspiring. But the effect is different. You never feel enough. You never think you did enough. You never allow yourself to rest, because there is always something to improve, correct, accelerate. You live surrounded by goals, metrics, comparisons. And this bombardment of stimuli does not strengthen you, it exhausts you. It is like being trapped on a treadmill that never stops accelerating. And the worst part is, you think you were the one who turned on the machine, but you were not born this way. No one was born to live in this state of permanent alert. This model was constructed, and it is slowly emptying you. Because behind all this energy, this rush, this productivity, there is something that has been buried, something you forgot how to access. And that is what we are going to explore now. Because there is a part of you that is dying, suffocated, a part forgotten, ignored, discredited. And perhaps it is the only one capable of healing you. This is the part of you that knows how to rest without guilt, the part that can find meaning in a sunset, not just in a spreadsheet, the part that remembers that you are a human being, not a human doing. And it is this part that we must now learn to listen to again. This is not a call to abandon your ambitions. It is a call to question their source. Are they coming from a place of genuine desire or from a place of fear? Fear of being left behind. Fear of being seen as lazy, fear of not being enough. The violence of positivity is that it co-opts your own desires and turns them against you. It takes your natural human drive for growth and turns it into a relentless, joyless, and ultimately meaningless pursuit of an ever-receding finish line. Part 3. The Lost Art of Doing Nothing. When was the last time you allowed yourself to simply do nothing? Not plan, not respond, not consume, not justify yourself. Just be, breathe. Feel time pass without the sensation of wasting it. Perhaps you do not even know how to do that anymore. And it is not your fault. You have been trained to always be active, always available, always connected. Any moment of pause is quickly filled by a notification, a new task, a short video, a motivational content. Leisure has become waste. Silence has become discomfort. and boredom has become an enemy to be exterminated. But let me tell you something that no one talks about. Deep boredom is not a flaw. It is a portal. Byung-Chul Han explains that in the past, boredom was the fertile ground for creation, reflection, and true presence. It was within it that philosophy, art, and spirituality were born. Because boredom, the kind that is not in a hurry, that bothers you, that makes you face yourself, opens space for contemplation. And contemplation is what brings you back to your humanity. Today, however, we live immersed in fragmented attention. We jump from stimulus to stimulus like animals on high alert. Multitasking is no longer a skill. It is a survival instinct. You watch a video while responding to messages, while thinking about tomorrow's meeting, while feeling guilty for not doing more. The present has become unbearable. And this mental hyperactivity has a price. It robs you of your depth, your connection to the world, to people, to yourself. You get used to consuming everything on the surface, including your own emotions. You feel, but you do not dive deep. You reflect, but you do not deepen. You live, but you do not inhabit. That is why you are tired even after sleeping, anxious even in silence, disconnected even when surrounded by people, because your soul has been trained to run, but has unlearned how to stop. And stopping is not weakness. Stopping is a reunion. It is in silence that you hear what the rush hides. It is in the pause that you realize how wounded you are. It is in the emptiness that you rediscover who you are without all those layers of productivity that have been placed upon you. But this return to being requires courage. Courage to slow down, to face the discomfort of having nothing to do, to endure the emptiness until it becomes fertile, and above all, courage to say no to the imperative of performance. And that is where we enter one of the most revolutionary points of Han's thought. A concept that may seem strange at first glance, but that perhaps contains the only real way out of this crisis we are living. This is not about giving up. It is about redefining victory. It is about understanding that in a world that demands constant motion, the most powerful act of rebellion is to stand still. This is the great challenge of our time, to unlearn the cult of productivity, to detoxify from the drug of constant stimulation, to find the courage to be unproductive, to be unprofitable, to be simply and gloriously human. And it starts with a single radical act, the act of stopping. Part 4, the rebellion of not being able. You have been trained to believe that freedom is the ability to do everything, that the more possibilities you have, the freer you will be, that the ideal life is one full of achievements, movement, and autonomous decisions. But what no one explained to you is that this excess of power, choice, and initiative is also a prison. And perhaps it is the most disguised and dangerous of all. The logic of our society is simple. If you are not doing something, you are wasting life. Everything must have a purpose, a utility, a result. Even rest needs to justify its existence as energy recovery. Even silence needs to be sold as strategic self-care. Everything needs to make sense. Everything needs to be profitable. Everything needs to generate something. But Byung-Chul Han presents us with a radical idea. True freedom begins when you reclaim the right not to do, not to act, not to want, not to be useful, to simply not be able to. This seems counterintuitive, does it not? After all, we spend our whole lives trying to achieve the power to do, the power to travel, the power to produce, the power to achieve, the power to decide. But the power to do has become an imperative. You can, so you must. And what if you do not want to? What if you cannot? What if you are simply tired? The answer you hear from society is clear. You have failed. In this model, there is no space for vulnerability. There is no space for no. Everything that does not fit into this logic of action, achievement, growth is seen as deviation, weakness, laziness. But what if it is precisely in that space of refusal that true strength resides? Saying no is an act of power. Refusing excess, haste, overload is a gesture of resistance, not wanting to improve all the time, not accepting every opportunity, not following all advice, not answering every call, saying no to the world in order to say yes to yourself. This not being able is revolutionary. It breaks the logic of infinite productivity. It shatters the myth of being the best. It returns to the human being what was taken from them, the ability to exist without having to constantly prove their worth. And when you allow yourself that no, something changes inside. Anxiety gives way to silence. Guilt yields to presence. The rush transforms into breathing. You no longer need to chase after yourself, because you are already here, whole now. But do not be fooled. This freedom is not comfortable, because it requires confrontation. It requires you to look at the void and say, I accept not to be everything. I accept not to do everything. I accept to just be. And this goes against everything you have learned until today. The true challenge is not to do more. It is to be able to stop, to be able to let go, to be able to say enough. But when you start to see the no as liberation, something is revealed. A clarity that was covered by noise. A strength that does not come from overcoming, but from surrender. A peace that only appears when you refuse to keep fighting against yourself. This is the great paradox of our time. The more you chase freedom through action, the more trapped you become. The more you seek peace through control, the more anxious you feel. The more you try to prove your worth through productivity, the more worthless you feel. The way out is not forward, it is inward. It is a radical acceptance of your own limits, your own humanity, your own beautiful, messy, and imperfect self. This is not a passive surrender, it is an active embrace. It is the conscious choice to lay down the weapons you have been using against yourself. It is the realization that the war was never with the world. It was with the impossible standards you internalized. And the only way to win is to refuse to fight. This is the beginning of a new kind of strength. A strength that is not measured by what you can do, but by what you can let go of. A strength that is found not in the noise of achievement, but in the silence of acceptance. A strength that is rooted not in the illusion of control, but in the wisdom of surrender. Let's bring this home. You came into this video a prisoner of an invisible system, a system that told you that your value lies in your performance, that your freedom is in your ability to do more, and that your exhaustion is your own fault. You now know that this is a lie. You are not a machine. You are not a project. You are a human being. And your worth is not measured by your productivity, but by your presence. The burnout you are experiencing is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of life. It is your soul screaming for a different way of being in the world. A way that values silence over noise, depth over speed, and being over doing. The most radical act of rebellion in our time is not to do more, but to do less. To reclaim your right to be slow, to be bored, to be unproductive, to simply be. If this message hit home, if you are ready to stop performing and start living, then right now in the comments type, I choose to be. Not for me, for you. Let it be a declaration of your independence from the tyranny of performance, a commitment to your own humanity. And if this video gave you something real, please like it, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Wise Daily. Every video on this channel is built to give you one thing: the philosophical tools to live with more power, more clarity, and more intention. We'll see you in the next one.